Hello and welcome to another edition of Another Book Review. This week I'll be reviewing The Day of the Locust by Nathanael West. I'll go a little bit into the author's background, give a brief spoiler-free overview of the plot, talk about what I liked about the book, what I didn't like about the book, and I'll finish off with who I'd recommend the book to and what I'll be reading for next time. So for the author, Nathanael West, he passed away when he was, I believe, 37 years old in 1940. He was fairly obscure as a literary figure at the time, though he was friends with some famous people like F. Scott Fitzgerald. He was mostly known for doing screenplay work for the Hollywood studios. And this is probably his best known work, and it's kind of grown in stature since he passed away. This book is on the list of the Time top 100 novels of, I think, about 100 years, from like 1913 to the present day. I'm not sure exactly what year that list came out, but it's on that top 100 list, so its literary significance is pretty esteemed book, and kind of has grown in esteem since his passing. So what the book is about is it follows a character named Todd, who is from the East Coast. He attended, I believe, Yale University as an art student, and he has traveled to California to work in the pictures, the movie pictures, the film industry, as a set designer and painter. And the book is really about his interactions with people who are kind of on the fringe of that world. He meets a woman who is 17. He, I think, is graduated from Yale, so assuming he's in his mid-20s. But he becomes obsessed with her. He befriends her father, who is something of a grifter. And the book is really about him dealing with his obsession with this woman and the other kind of characters who kind of come into his orbit during the time that he's there. I liked the fact that it's set in, I presume it's set in the present day of when it was written, so this is the late 30s, so it's very much set in the Depression era Hollywood, which is kind of a unique time. The characters all seem to me fairly realistic. They have real problems. They go through situations and they have to deal with them. There is like a seediness to the book, and I think it in some ways is kind of reaction to what we normally think of as Hollywood as being this like beautiful artifice. And I think the book in a lot of ways, by having the protagonist be someone who works in the business, it kind of goes behind that scene and kind of shows kind of the world behind what you think. So like, for example, one of the characters, the main character, has a situation where he's walking on the back lot and he's seeing all these different productions of different historical pictures of all kinds of different eras that all kind of jam together in a way that's not real, obviously. So I thought that was interesting. I think there are parts of it that are really funny. There's parts of it that seem almost surrealist in a way. So I liked all of those things. It's a relatively short novel. It's only 140 pages, so if you want to give it a try, you can do so relatively easily. You can read, 10% of the novel is 14 pages, so you can get through it pretty quickly. The problems I had with it, it feels stylistically like a novel written at the time. There are characters who are kind of introduced, put down, and there's not really a lot of transitions, and so you kind of have the main character, and there's a part in the book where another character is introduced, and you kind of go through his backstory, and it didn't feel like that's really prepared for, and you're kind of left wondering as you're reading it, like, who is this character? What do I care about? Do I care about him? Why is he in this? Kind of, I said before, there's the seediness of it, I think, is kind of interesting. Reading from it from a standpoint of 2019, it's a little difficult. There are certain subject matters in the book. Rape is kind of a theme that kind of goes throughout the book. Not necessarily the act of rape itself, but kind of the implication of one of the characters wanting to do it, which was really uncomfortable. There is prostitution in the book. There is cockfighting in the book. So there are a lot of things in the book that I think are, reading it from a standpoint of today, there are like 40 and 45-year-old men who are hitting on the 17-year-old. That were kind of difficult to get through. There's racial slurs in the book. There are slurs against other people. So it was tough. It was tough in a lot of areas because of those things that kind of detracted from the enjoyment of it a little bit. The plot of the book too is not really the strong point of the book. It's kind of a difficult book. I don't know if I'd go as far to call it a plotless novel, but it is very much kind of just following these characters as they go about their time. It's kind of difficult to tell how much time has passed and things like that. There's no real strong motivation for a lot of them other than maybe the main character, and even his motivations are kind of, I guess, questionable is a way to put it. So that was difficult. You don't really necessarily find yourself rooting for the characters. A lot of them are in really tough situations, but there's not a lot of sympathy for them at the same time because they just do a lot of kind of, we would say, selfish or undesirable acts, I guess is a way to put it. So that's The Day of the Locust. I think if you're someone who is really big into the history of literature, I know there are a lot of people who really have a lot of respect for this novel. Like I said, it was on the Times list of the top 100 novels, and I think Bob Dylan wrote a song about it. There are other people who have it in fairly high esteem. I would check it out. For me, stylistically, it was difficult, and the subject matter was, I think, a little bit difficult to kind of get into it. I felt at times I'd put the book down, pick it back up, put it down, pick it back up, because it doesn't really have a lot of forward motion in the plot to kind of keep you going through it. So that's what the book was, and that's who I'd recommend the book to. Next time I'll be reading The Answers by Catherine Lacey. Until next time, please feel free to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and leave comments in the comment section below, especially if you've read The Day of the Locust and you feel differently about it. Till next time, bye.